Marty, you have been gone. What did you bag? How long did it take? You went hunting.
Yeah, so I left the civilized world last Thursday. Last Friday we went into the wilderness. It's an almost it's a pretty solid adventure, half a day to get into the wilderness. Like, so I'm hunting in the Grand Cache area, which is bumping up against the Rockies in northern Alberta. And when from the moment we park our trucks and get onto our ATVs, it takes us about 4 hours to get to our camp. And then once we get at our camp, we have to set up our camp. We leave equipment behind in the bush, hidden away in barrels and stuff like that. But so the first day, Friday we set up camp. Saturday we settle in. We go get firewood, go visit the river, get our bearings, get organized, and then we usually start hunting in earnest on Sunday. This year we had two moose tags, which is awesome. Two bull moose tags, and we had other tags, but I mean our focus is bull moose. We had an elk tag and a few other things, but we bagged two moose. We bagged a fairly decent sized moose on about day 4, and then another one on about actually on the very last day. Not the last day when we were going out, but on the last evening we bagged our second moose. So um, I come home with a quarter because there's a group of us, right? So we each share. So I came
Yeah, I was
home
just
with
about to
one.
ask. You got a whole bunch of
Yeah.
people, so how much does everybody get as a take home?
These days, more and more, it depends on. Like last year, I took home a half a moose, which was too much now because there's only me and Karen at home, right? So the half a moose, I still have a little bit in the fridge. So this year, I generously said, listen, I'll just take a small quarter. I'm happy with that because I know next year it's going to be my moose again, just by the way of the lotteries. So next year is my moose. So when it's my moose next year, I'll want a half a moose. But I took a quarter, butchered it yesterday. It ends up being about 50 pounds in the freezer, which is awesome. Yeah, no, successful hunt, man. Super, and hunting for me is at a point now where, I've been hunting for whatever, 35, 40 years. I'm not out there to get a trophy animal anymore. If I don't even get an animal, it doesn't bother me. I just want to get out there with my buds. And man, like, and I used to really look forward to going out there because we had no cell phones. Like I used to be completely disconnected, but now because of there's oil and gas activity in the area, and
Mm.
the oil industry keeps bringing in cell towers for their own purposes, and of course we get to piggyback on it. So now almost within camp, I can walk away from my camp, go up a nearby hill, and I get cell service. Not enough to upload videos and stuff like that, but I can see what's going on.
Well, you might be in luck, Marty, because the government's been working on a project just recently. If having cell phone service and connectivity to the internet is an issue, Bill C8 is on the docket. So, just as a virtue of you having a loud mouth, apparently from the rulers at B, that's part of the provisions. They're looking to be able to cut people off from their service provider. Like it's gone beyond this idea of like, okay, we're gonna get you banned off of a platform, we're gonna get you banned off this thing. They're actually looking to now cut people off from the service ISP level. You
Yep.
no VPNs are gonna save you, no Tor browsers, no any of this stuff. You're literally just gonna be shut off. No if, ands, buts, or even questions about it. If you're shut off, you ask the service provider, why was I shut off? They can't even tell you. They won't be at liberty to tell you. This is in the works right now in Parliament.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a topic. This is a dream for social for tyrants and for people that we have in power. This is They don't want us questioning them, and we keep questioning them, and we keep exposing their schemes and their lies, and so they want to shut us down. I mean, this is what's the big, like, who said it, like, what's the it, it's why the Americans have it's the First Amendment of the US.
It's
Like,
the number one. That's
we
the
always
very
talk about
first
the
one.
Second Amendment of the US, which is super critical, which I wish we had. But the Americans recognize that freedom of speech is paramount. And, this is just another example. I mean, yes, our government will take away our freedom of speech. You and I are threats to the government. I know that. I feel it, actually. I feel that sort of weirdness more frequently than not these days. Like I have
Well, as we learned
interactions.
recently, that even to the conservatives we're a threat.
Yeah.
We can't we can't even be seen with them
No,
because we're too extreme. Marty, you and
we're
I are extreme.
we're not politically correct, and they don't want to be associated with us, and they don't. I know they follow us. I can give you a million examples of where they made comments. Actually, Poiliev was an example this week. It was obvious this week that Pierre Poiliev follows Andy Lee because he was
Mhm.
reposting some of her stuff, but he's reposting it 2 weeks later rather than
Yeah.
giving Andy credit on, like, she found that, remember that she did that post 2 weeks ago, the $8 million we were giving to some organization in Vietnam to do gender neutral rice,
Yeah.
like and Poiliev tweeted about that yesterday, and as soon as I saw him do that, I'm like, dude, like, either get some better PR people, some better managers of your account, or acknowledge that this was a story broken by somebody else. But that's besides the point. Back
Mhm.
to your point, yeah, we're politically incorrect. And actually, I want to say this. It's along those lines. I sense when I'm being watched. I can sense it. I've been doing X for so long now, and suddenly I'll get a weird interaction with somebody, and they appear like they're a real account, and they're asking you these weird questions, and then my hairs in the back of my neck go up, and I'm like, oh god, nope, okay, back away from this account. Don't interact with this group because they're testing us, trying to get me to say something that can be used against me. And
Mhm.
so I'm not surprised. C8, C9, these bills don't surprise me at all.
No, no, they shouldn't at all. But this is the government just trying to step in and do whatever it is that they can to shut everybody down.
Well, and I've always said this, right? If you want to see, like, there are some great models. If you want to see what's going to happen to us, like, just look no further than England, for instance, right? Like, people always say, "Oh, this will never happen. This will never happen." Wow, you want to see a surveillance state? It's England. And what did England do last week while I was gone? I didn't I
Yeah,
didn't have time to study it too much, but they pretty much went full social credit, right?
yeah,
Or
they
yeah, yeah,
became Keir Starmer became a conspiracy theorist
yes.
because because digital ID is a conspiracy theory, Marty. It's not a real thing. It's not a thing that's happening in the real world. But Keir Starmer apparently disagrees with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, sorry, I said social credit. You're right. What did you call it?
It's a
Digital
digital
ID.
ID. It is the first.
Digital
It's the
ID.
step to social credit. You don't have
Yeah,
social credit without first a digital ID. They're already talking about central bank digital currencies. They're talking about using the digital ID to adjust people's behavior. What did they even bring it on to people on the backs of? The back of it was, oh, there are too many immigrants in the country and they're all trying to work under the table.
yeah.
Well, fix the border.
Well,
Like, actually police the border. They don't want to do that because that's
that
the excuse that they have to do this.
even an ultra libertarian or supposedly libertarian premier like Danielle Smith used the same excuse 2 weeks ago, right? Like 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
Alberta introduced they call it the digital wallet. Oh, it's just a wallet where you can keep your digital IDs in. I'm like, well, I already have one of those on Google or whatever. Why do I need one? And that's exactly the excuse she said. We've issued more medical cards than we have citizens. So we need to go digital to rein in the problem. I'm like, no, 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 no.
So they create
Just
the problem and then they create a solution to fix
yeah,
it. It's same thing with the liberals right now. Just this past week, there was a bill to put people in jail if they commit serious offenses. No bail for multiple offense criminals on the streets, right? 3 strikes, you're out. They introduce a bill, unanimously voted against it, the liberals. Why? Because the liberals can't first ban guns and then do a reform bill. So there's lots of crime on the streets right now. If they were to ban guns and successfully do that, and then get rid of crime on the streets because by throwing criminals in jail, then they can come back and say, "See, banning guns got rid of all this crime on the streets. It was the gun ban, and then solidify that for the rest of Canadian history. That's really the plan.
Yeah.
But and it's cynical. I know it's cynical for me to say that oh, there's it's just we'll just sacrifice a few Canadian lives at the hands of criminal offenses. I don't put it past them. I absolutely don't put it past them at all. To what do they say? It takes to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs. Yeah, that's what they're willing to do.
So apparently, actually, well, where do you want to go next? I was going to say, speaking of gun bans, I heard that that's not going well through the grapevine, through people I've talked to real quick. So, that's going to be that started just before I left, right? The gun buyback in Cape Breton Island, and I guess so far it's like zero. Nobody. So congratulations, everybody. Do not turn in your guns. The amnesty is extended for another year. So don't let them have any kind of victory with their pilot project. Everybody,
it's crazy because lefty Twitter, all over lefty Twitter, they're saying, it's the perfect place in New Brunswick to do that, or Nova Scotia to do this, because so many people are on board with it and they're gonna follow through, and to hear that there's none. That's amazing. I think that's awesome because they're not required to. The amnesty has been extended for them as well. So don't do it.
Don't do
it. Don't do it at all.
Yeah. No, the timing of that one was, I'm glad. I mean, the Liberals had no choice. The existing amnesty was running out, so they had to extend it and they had to do something. But their timing sucks for doing something like that. I mean, there's no appetite for it. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's people are realizing it's a bad idea. Like, finally, I'm glad people are realizing that confiscating firearms from law-abiding citizens is a bad idea.
So on that point, because there's a whole bunch that have been added to the prohib list, and there are a lot of people out there. I'm not going to mention names of who owns guns that are on that prohib list, but those people are not allowed to use them. So they have them sitting in a locker or in a safe where they can't use it. I was tasked with some people to figure this out, and I'm going to go do my homework. If people who own prohibited firearms, if they can send them out to the United States to actually perhaps sell them on the actual market where they're able to be used. So I'm going to try to do my homework, and I'll get back to everybody on the channel about that, because for a lot of people, they're like, well, if I can't use it, I want it to go somewhere where other people can use it, and I don't want to give it to the government to destroy. It's my property. So some people are hoping to send it out of country if possible.
Bring it to Alberta. I mean, that's still one thing that's being talked about a lot, and it's in the plans, right? Alberta is going to issue an Alberta firearms license. So Alberta will issue a firearms license. Mickey Amery, our finance or our justice minister, talked about it again this week. He's like, I don't need to do it today because of the amnesty. So he's making sure that he gets the paperwork and the whole concept under control. But he's basically, Alberta's stance on this is that Ottawa can regulate who is allowed to own a firearm, but then the province will regulate what you do with your firearm. And so Danielle Smith and Mickey Amery repeated again this week, Alberta will not confiscate firearms from law-abiding citizens. So I'm not even nervous about this topic anymore. Like I think there's a good backstop in Alberta, and I also think ultimately the Liberals are going to get defeated before this ever takes into place. It's just unfortunate that in the meantime, it's a weird paradox. I mean, 2 weeks ago the minister is like, we hope that Canadians will comply with the buyback because we expect Canadians to follow the law and comply with the buyback. It's like, yeah, you expect me to follow the law. Just like you expected me to follow the law when you issued the firearm. You issued me a firearm and you said, don't kill people with it. Only use it at gun ranges. You gave me some rules and I followed the rules. So why am I suddenly, why do you trust me to abide by the buyback, but not abide by the initial rules that you set by? It's a complete contradiction.
Well, speaking of people who abide by the rules, we were going to get on this topic at some point tonight, but we got someone in the chat right now. Tamara Leach says, good evening from Ontario. Marty, I met a gentleman this morning at our hotel in Ottawa who went to school with you. Small world. Tamara, you were going to come up. Tamara and Chris Barber finally got their sentencing for their role.
Oh, that's Tamara who said that. Tamara met somebody I went to school with.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
wow.
right.
Okay. Send me a text privately, Tamara, and let me know who that was. I'm just curious. Yes, folks, I rarely admit this. I went to university in Ottawa back in the day. I went to university between 85 and 1989. When the prime minister was Brian Mulroney, when he would just walk out the Parliament building, walk down the 24 Sussex, and Ottawa was not a woke town. I mean, we used to go to the Byward Market, to Stony Mondays, and get just blitzed on Friday nights when we weren't studying. Ottawa used to be a cool town. But
used to be. And
used to
yeah,
be.
absolutely used to be. And well, the story was this week that Tamara and Chris, they got their sentencing. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed at the results. You said something before we went to and I want you to articulate that, because that hit home.
Yeah, so basically the trucking convoy, the Freedom Convoy, was a protest against the mandates. And remember, at the time, the mandates, the mandate that put truckers over the top was that, restrictions on their ability to travel unless they got vaccinated. And we all had those restrictions, right? We couldn't fly anymore. We couldn't take the ferry to Vancouver. We couldn't. And so that was a protest, and Chris and Tamara get found guilty of mischief. Wow, mischief. Like, think of all the crazy people who walk with less than that, or walk for doing greater crimes than that, and they were sentenced. And their sentence is basically house arrest. Not exactly. It's about 18 months of house arrest, give or take, time served and whatnot, and some really crazy restrictions, right? So they're under house arrest. They can only go and do like 5 hours of groceries a week. Tamara got a sub condition where she can, thankfully, the judge said, yeah, you can go witness the birth of your next grandchild. Like, ooh, thank you, judge. Like, but when you break down their sentence, it's like a COVID mandate, which I'm like, is it ironic, or is it the government throwing salt in the wound one last time? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, thank you, Chris and Tamara, for taking one on the chin. And I think we all breathe a sigh of relief. Me personally, I'd rather be under home arrest than in jail any day. I would go absolutely, me, man, I'm an outdoor guy. You put 4 walls around me, I would go absolute ape shit.
Yeah, bonkers.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Give me house arrest for 18 months. I'll write my memoir. I'll do something. But yeah, I thought the punishment was maybe ironic. Maybe the government, one last little insult. By the way, and again, speaking of people who've never been convicted, like the mandates were illegal, right? In hindsight, after the fact, the mandates were illegal. They were illegal in many provinces. Yep. Alberta deemed them illegal. The federal court deemed them illegal. The Emergency Measures Act was illegal. Where's Trudeau in all of this? Where's
absolutely. Oh man, that's
Marco Mendocino.
That's my biggest thing is like, okay, well, if people are going to be punished for this, where's the accountability on the government side? Because what the government did was egregious, absolutely egregious compared to what? Organizing people to go and illegally park for a couple of weeks? Like, really, at the end of the day, that's what it was. And mischief, it carries what? Like the severity of doing a burnout in a parking lot. Like, are you serious? But we have Justin Trudeau. He's walked away scot-free. There's zero accountability there. Zero accountability anywhere.
Freeland got promoted. Everybody got promoted. Yeah. Theresa Tam, I'm sure, is going to get the Order of Canada at some point. And they're all walking away. And we're witnessing.
I'm very disappointed at this, because at the end of the day, they've already gone through this punishment. They've already gone through 3 years of lawfare. 3.5 years of lawfare. Now at the end of it, instead of what we all assumed would have happened, which would have been a commuted sentence and then an apology from the court for having taken so long, instead they throw this in there, and then we're all supposed to be happy because it wasn't 7 years or 8 years. Why are we supposed to be happy about this? I'm not happy about it. Obviously, I'm not. I'm happy that they're not in jail, but I'm not happy that they were given anything at all. And I think that's that's what we're supposed to act like. We're supposed to be happy, and I won't give them that.
No, and you know, and look at what's going on in real life again, right? And by the way, I'm going to go to the ostrich farm. Like that's I'm heading there right after unfortunately this weekend's Thanksgiving, and my whole family's coming here. But as soon as that's done, I'm heading over there because we're witnessing again in real time. If you defy the government, like I said, it's not a defiance of the government. We're, like we can't even question the government, right? Like people are
Mhm.
asking reasonable question of the government, like, hey, maybe I could test the ostriches, and maybe if they're okay, maybe your rule's wrong. No, we can't even question. Like I get that overwhelmingly from. Actually, that disappoints me when fellow Canadians say, well, the people who raise the ostriches, they're not following the rules. I'm like, holy shit, folks. Can we please stop blindly following every rule our government puts in front of us? Like, did you not learn anything in the last years? Like, just because the government says this is the rule, we don't have to we're allowed to question the rule. And if we question the rule and the answers that they give us are unsatisfactory, we're allowed to protest. And they're taking away our ability to question. I'm at the point, you know, all the time where I question the information, and you provide our own data on the internet. They're gonna take away our ability to question. Then they're gonna take away our ability. They've already taken away our ability to protest. Like what's left?
Well, this is where, like, okay, some people might try to, I don't know, defend the government and their actions in what's going on at the ostrich farm, but this is where it kind of takes the cake. And I have to share this because this is what's happening right now. Sorry, I have to refresh so you can see the videos playing. So the video here is of the
Yep.
CFIA. They were captured cutting the Universal Ostrich Farm security cameras from observation points around the farmer's ostrich property, around the ostrich pens. Why? What is the purpose of that? So they're supposed to follow through with a lawful order. This is vandalism of their property. If they're supposed to follow through with a lawful order, they can do it on camera. They can do it in plain sight, wherever it is on the premises. Why do they have to hide it? Why is it that they have to cut the cameras, vandalize cameras, damage property? Well, we all know the answer to the question, right?
It's a rhetorical question. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, if what they were going to do was moral, ethical, just, and right, they wouldn't care. They'd say set up the bleachers, take pictures all you want. We're going to do something. But no, they're I mean, God. Amen, right? Amen for Starlink. Amen for Dancing Media. Amen for Rebel. Amen for all those guys that are out there that are like with their Starlinks and their cameras and their zooms like a kilometer away, because yeah, they built a no-fly zone over the farm. They pushed everybody out. They're using jamming technology. Like they're hiding what they're about to do.
It's disgusting.
It's totally disgusting. Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting. I don't know why the Americans aren't saying anything about it. I really wish that, because there's been enough push for the Maha group or the MAGA group to say something about this. It looks like at one point they had RFK's attention on this, but then they couldn't get the ostriches past the border. And then, that would turn into an international incident, but it's a local issue now in Canada.
I mean, even Pierre's being quiet about it. Everybody's being quiet about it. Like, is David Eby talking about it? Nobody wants to, like, the it. I gotta
Nobody's
calm
talking
down.
about it.
No, I
Yeah,
gotta
I
calm
know.
down. The first thing I asked when I got out of the woods was, "Are the ostriches still alive?" That was the first thing I asked. Like, I couldn't give a shit about anything. Well, my wife. How's my wife? Okay, I love my wife, but first, like, really, like, and so I'm so happy that they're still alive. I'm fingers crossed that somehow or other there's that the Supreme Court hears their decision. Now, if ever there was a time where I was hoping for the Supreme Court to drag its feet and take 3 years to come up with a decision, now's the time. If the Supreme Court wants to drag its feet for 3 years and before it adjudicates on this
No,
one,
that
go
would
for
not
it.
be good, Marty. It would not be good because then the CFIA would still have you know, they would have
Control of the farm. I mean,
control of the
I'm
farm.
being,
Those
I'm
ostriches would
being,
all die by the time because they're being neglected. One has already died.
yeah. What's the
One
one that
hen died.
died? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they put out a public statement saying, "Oh, sorry, number 702 died." Like this is the way governments function. It really is out of a dystopian novel. It's disgusting. But what do you expect?
Yeah. Well, and actually, and by the way, I went through a good chunk of the Gulag Archipelago while I was in camp. So I'll
All
finish
right.
that book, which is, it's one of those crazy. It's not even a dystopian novel, right? It's a true story of. It's a true story of several accounts of people back in Russia who would disappear in the night and be sent to the gulags. Like, I mean, and are we at that state? When you read the books, when you read that book, when you read 1984, when you read some of these books, Animal Farm, you just go, wow, man, we are in a dystopian hell. And yeah, anyways, let's move on. Okay,
Well,
so
let's
yeah.
move on. I did tease out to a lot of the audience because I mean we're on the dystopian part of the show. We're gonna get into this Alberta Prosperity Project looking really good. This is great, but there are a number of people who maybe they're looking. Okay, I have to pack up and move. Either they're leaving from Ontario, they're leaving from British Columbia, they're leaving from Manitoba or the Maritimes because somehow you grew up there and you got a work ethic, but then you wanted to get out. So tomorrow is actually the perfect opportunity to tune into the show. We're doing an extra live stream tomorrow, and that's going to be with the guys from Bridge. This is Bridge Cross Border Consulting, and I just want to plug this right now. So tune in. This is going to be a way for Canadians who really want to get out of here and make a new life in the United States. It's not a pipe dream. Believe it or not, this is a possibility. And there's a lot of people who think they've been told by other people, this is crabs in the bucket mentality. You'll never do it. You can't do it. There's too many regulations. It's too difficult to apply. Believe me, tradesmen, all kinds of people are doing this. Not even tradesmen, people who just have training in a particular field or just have some sort of skill. Donald Trump is actually opening up the immigration thing while we speak. It's crazy because they don't want illegal immigrants. They want legal immigrants. That's the thing.
Let me just tell you a quick story. So one of the emails I had in my basket when I got in was a headhunter or a guy from a big company, a headhunter from the US reaching
Mhm.
out to me with an LNG opportunity. I worked in LNG, liquefied natural gas in Louisiana, and I haven't deleted the email yet. So in the past, I would have replied very quickly. Like maybe 2 years ago, I would have replied pretty quickly. No, I'm kind of semi-retired, happy, don't give a shit. Thanks for reaching out. I haven't deleted it. So I'm gonna probably call him and just chat, at least chat, because
Mhm.
hey, maybe I do move to Louisiana for the next little while and go work on a project. Who knows, right? I think Louisiana would be okay, actually. I'd like to. I'm familiar with Texas. I'm familiar with Louisiana, but maybe I'd like living. Anyways, cool. Yeah. No.
So
There's
we'll be talking about that, and I
yeah.
just want people to realize that it's not that far out of reach. It's the reality of the situation on the ground is America does not want people to enter the country illegally, but there are avenues to do it legally. And if that's something that you really want to do, I want to encourage it, and I want and forget all the talk like people calling me a traitor, calling other people traitors. I'm not a quitter. Well, forget that. Do what's right for you and your family, and we can help you out. So pay attention to that. But in the meantime, there is a fight for Alberta and Alberta's independence, and that's another fight that people are really stoked about. And I'm actually really stoked on this, even though I don't have any plan of moving to Alberta. I don't want to live in Alberta. Alberta is way too cold. Sorry, Marty. Love hanging with you out there, but it's I'm a fair weather Alberta visitor. That's me. But Washington affirms support for Alberta sovereignty in Alberta Prosperity Project delegation visit. This is big news. This is something that happened while you were away, Marty, and I did a story about it. This gets me excited because this really marks a big step in the Alberta Prosperity Project, because we've all heard it many times before, but in Canada, the other provinces, they have this like snooty sort of way of responding to Alberta wanting to be free. And their snooty attitude is,
there's snooty, and there's snooty, and there's downright evil. You'll have to play the clip from Quebec, but go ahead. Yeah, finish your thought.
But it's this idea that, well, we could stop you from leaving. It's almost as if like a battered wife could leave her husband, and the husband's like, no, you can't leave me, and like actually keep her in the home. The wife's gone. The wife's divorced you. You're sorry. See you later, pal. You're gonna have to just deal with the outcome. Well, this really puts a big thwart in that whole concept, because if the U.S. backs Alberta and declares them a state, then it's like, well, sorry, end of story. Now, Keith Wilson was on.
Hey, hang on, by the way. So that was the strategy that the Quebec provincial government, the Parti Québécois, used in the 1990s for their first referendum. So not a lot of people know this, but government representatives had already gone to France and had assurances from the French government that if on the night of the election of the referendum, Quebecers had voted to separate, immediately the French government would have recognized the referendum and recognized Quebec as a nation. So Quebec went down that path, so that's why Alberta Prosperity is going down the same path. It's an important thing to have. And by the way, this the other cool thing about this is that the last time a nation went and separated and had an internal struggle like that was Kosovo, right? And Canada was one of the first countries to recognize the new state of Kosovo when it separated. So if Ottawa didn't recognize Alberta separating, that would be brutal, because Ottawa's already set the precedent. I mean, Ottawa's willing to recognize Palestine as a state, but can you imagine? It's like, oh, you recognize Palestine, but you're gonna poo-poo all over Alberta. Sorry, I interrupted your thought, but go back to,
No,
to the APP
no, it's
and
great.
the trip to the
No, you're absolutely right on this. And so it's garnering some attention in America. And Glenn Beck had on as a caller Keith Wilson, which we all know Keith Wilson is very invested in this as well. And so this was the conversation that took place.
The State Department had a meeting, a second high-level meeting in Washington, I think on Monday, and our administration is eager to recognize Alberta as an independent state or country. Can you give me any insight on what is happening on this side of the border, and what does that mean with our relationship with the nut job parts of Canada?
Well, sure. I received a briefing from that delegation yesterday. I think the Trump administration is very concerned about what's happening in Canada. My understanding from the meetings that have occurred that the Trump administration officials have indicated that the U.S. would recognize a vote by the people of Alberta to become independent. So that's very important to us as we expect the vote to occur 2026, sometime around this time next year. And I think the Trump administration also recognizes you guys have right above your border in Montana the third largest reserve of oil and gas in the world.
You need liberation.
Look at the power of that, the energy independence. It takes you from an energy superpower to a mega superpower.
Yeah.
So, and then we're completely culturally aligned. So I think there's a recognition, and Canada's, the leftists in Ottawa are being global disruptors.
Keith, please stay in touch with us. Anything that we can do to help, but I want to make sure America understands.
See, and
the world that we are.
Yeah, so they're totally on.
I like what Keith said, right, which is an important point. Like we're sure the energy is great, but we're also culturally aligned, Alberta, and to a lesser extent Saskatchewan. I have more in common with Texans than I do with Nova Scotians. or Ontarians from a work ethic point of view, language, culture point of view, energy background point of view. So yeah, no, and that speech, that actually that sentiment was reflected again just yesterday, right? So yesterday Danielle Smith repeated that if like the big talk right now is that we're going to find out. And Danielle went to Ottawa this week. Danielle went to Ottawa 2 days ago. We were a little bit disappointed because Danielle set out a kind of an ultimatum to the prime minister, and that ultimatum expires like this month, right? And so she basically she wants a pipeline going out west. So we'll see if Carney's serious about a pipeline, he will repeal Bill C-69 and the tanker ban and things like that. But
otherwise, it's a pipeline to nothing. Really, that's all that
it's a pipeline to nothing. Let's set aside the fact that your premier EB had like a weird meltdown this week.
Don't blame me,
man. We're not doing pipelines. That's fine. Then Danielle immediately went on the news and met with Vasi and others, and she's like, if we can't get a pipeline to the east or to the west, we will get one to the south. It's not a first choice, but Keystone XL can be quickly revitalized. Anyways, hey, while we're on this topic, can you find that clip of the Premier of Quebec like poo-pooing all over Alberta? Like, my lord, we're being led by like they're kids, man.
Yeah, let's have a listen.
It's
I haven't heard this yet.
Poised today to announce a deal with Enbridge and some other major companies to put forward a pipeline proposal, an oil pipeline. Fortunately for you, I think it's not going to go to Quebec. It's going to go to BC. You've been critical of the Alberta government before. What do you make of them going forward with this?
Let's imagine that Quebec is an independent and free country. We will go on the world stages to say that Alberta is destroying the environment of the whole planet. So I will say the same thing. Either it goes through Quebec or not. The idea of augmenting the volume of oil and gas, which is extracted and then burned and consumed, is irresponsible. I would agree with real measures to help Western.
This guy's a cartoon character. That is not a real person. That is like stupid.
I mean, I love how he starts with an independent Quebec. He's not going to do it as a province. As a province, I'm not going to slam Alberta too hard.
I hope they go independent. Please separate. Get out of Canada. Do it.
Yeah, but if I was his French was a little bit creeping in there. But he basically said we will expose Alberta. We will blame Alberta for polluting the whole. He said the whole world. Alberta is single-handedly we are destroying the whole world. Meanwhile, he's got tankers pulled up at the St. Lawrence unloading
from
Saudi Arabia unloading 300,000 barrels a day of oil, just every day. Just bring it in, boys. Just bring it in. It's hypocrisy on a whole new level. Yeah.
They're crazy. Just crooks. I hope Quebec does separate. I hope Alberta separating really kicks them in the pants, and maybe that French pride will make them want to separate first. Get it done faster. Yeah. Get it done quicker. You don't want to be showing up on the world stage there, Quebec guys. Get on it. And I'm all for it. No. I'm absolutely for it because I'm for the Balkanization of Canada. I've said this before. I'm unabashedly for that because I hope for this team Fortress North America. It's gonna really suck for places that just don't want to, pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Ontario, the maritime provinces. It's going to suck, but it'll be a hard lesson, and then they'll get back to work. That's really what needs to happen. And none of this protectionism crap, that's been holding everybody back for a very long time. Let's move on. Let's free market, baby. I want to see a lot more of that.
Now, before we'll move on from this topic, but one last thing. What's very interesting, two things. Blanchet, he does that weird speech, but then he also said this week that he's not going to approve the budget. Okay, interesting. I mean, we've heard that from him so many
right?
So many freaking times now, so I don't believe him. But the other fascinating thing for me this week is is watching people now, other leaders and other journalists and serious people accuse. Now they're kind of calling out Danielle and saying that Danielle is a closet separatist. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Didn't have that on my bingo card. So it's going to be an interesting few months. With,
well, it was an interesting yesterday because while Alberta has gone to Washington to make negotiations, well, what had to happen after that? Carney had to clamor himself out of his casket or whatever he sleeps in Ottawa, and he had to go down to the United States and revamp trade negotiations. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but even the Toronto Star didn't have very favorable write-ups for him. Mark Carney visit ends with no deal, despite Donald Trump predicting Canada will be very happy with Washington trade talks.
What do you make of the banter between those two? And people in the chat, but throw your comments on there. Like I was equally confused. Like, are they buttering each other up on purpose? Are they? I mean, actually, there was a weird clip. Did you see the clip of?
I gotta give my take.
Go ahead, give your take. But you have to play the clip of Donald slamming trans people.
That's coming up.
Okay,
Don't worry.
Okay. Give
That's
your take.
coming up.
Give your take, because I don't have a take on this.
My take on this is a lot of people, even on the conservative side, are getting pissed. They're like, why is he saying he likes Carney? Carney's selling us out. He's awful and all this stuff. If you go and you look at what Trump does, first off, every time he meets a world leader, it doesn't matter. As long as the world leader is like negotiating with him and doing things that he wants, he'll come back after and be like, he was a really nice guy. Like he's a great guy to his people.
The guy from Ireland, the guy from Japan, all the guys who came before.
North Korea.
Nice,
he called him Rocket Man for months, and then he went and met him, and he's like, oh, he's a fantastic guy. He loves his people. He's a dictator, right? That's Donald Trump. So take that for the grain of salt right away. But also the way he's talking to him, he's throwing digs, and people don't even see this. This is the best part about Trump and how he trolls people. He was the persona non grata in Canada in the last election. Mark Carney couldn't say a good thing about him, had to trash talk him all over the place. Pierre Poilievre lost a lot of respect from a lot of Americans because of some of the things he said in blanket statements about Americans. And don't tell me he didn't say it, because it was in his main speech when he first launched his career, or launched his campaign, to, say all Americans are this. That sucks, man. And that tanked him for a lot of people, like myself included. And here's the thing. Persona non grata, Canada is full of Trump derangement syndrome right now. So what does Trump do? You're my best friend. You're my best friend. Come here, buddy. Come here. Don't you love this guy? He's the greatest guy ever. He loves me too. Like, I love him. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just totally ruin the whole reputation of the elbows up thing and just smash it. And just wait for Carney to go home with his tail between his legs. Watch what ensues. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah. No,
that's why I see it.
Yeah, I see it a bit that way. I guess I'll have to replay some of those clips in slow motion kind of thing and listen to the specific jabs. I know they're there. I mean, there was one obvious clip, right? I mean, where Carney was making fun of trans people. Like that was
Trump was. That
was hard trolling.
That
but
clip.
Yeah.
So I'll put that clip up. So this is from Andy Lee. She says, crazy. This is a crazy awkward. Donald Trump mocks transgenders while talking to Mark Carney. One of Carney's children is trans.
We have no men in women's sports. Basic things. We're not going to take your child away and change the sex of your child. We're not going to do things like that. What they're doing to the country is so incredible. And they got away with it with all their woke crap. And now it's stopped. We have no men in women.
And that's the thing. So just down here, Leah pointing out that Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and I'm here for it. By the way, this is what Mark Carney's daughter looks like. This is and again, I don't think this is a personal dig, but no. it is along Trump's lines to get close to the edge and just push buttons. He did it the last time with Chrystia Freeland before she got out of there in disgrace. He knew the relationship between Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney. Of course, he knows these things.
The only flaw in the theory. Well, it's not a flaw. The only problem is if we had a normal mainstream media, they would have seen what Trump was doing and they would mock Carney. But now what's really freaking weird is our media in Ontario and Quebec praising Carney, like literally praising Carney. So
They're gonna
it's
do
not
it anyway.
backfiring at this point. Yeah, they got no choice. They're going to praise him, but it's not just the media. I mean, like, when are people, there's a the polls are irrelevant, but there's already a small shift in the polls. So
What does that matter, though? We've got
it doesn't matter.
We got 3 years more.
Yeah, it doesn't
of this
matter. I mean,
government.
we have 3 years, but it does show that, well, actually, the polls could mean something. The polls could mean something for parties that are still positioning themselves and thinking about defeating the government. I mean, I'm flip flopping on that one. Like, should we attempt to defeat this government right away? I mean, me personally, I think this government is just going to be a failure for the next 4 years. If a lot of people finally wake up. I mean, hey, actually, this is a great segue. Like, let's segue into this real quick, because I mean, we're running out of time, right? The last big piece of news that broke before I went hunting on September 25th was the Parliamentary Budget Officer publishing the fall economic statement. The fall, like, because Canada's fiscal year runs from April to April. So this economic statement that comes out in September is usually the half year point, right? So, and it came out on the 25th, and it's freaking brutal. It's brutal. Like, it's brutal, right? Like, I mean, the even the PBO, you can tell he's like, oh, I gotta try and be, walk the fine line here. Like, our debt is almost $3 trillion. The deficit for this year, the PBO says it's going to be $68.5 billion. If he says it's going to be 68.5, it's going to be 90.
Probably
like, it's going to be
90.
90. And last year, Trudeau, at the time of this budget, they said, oh, it'll only be 40. Well, you blew out of that. It's 68. You're not getting the income you expected from the tariffs. Plus, you're making all these other promises. Anyways, bad news being hidden by people. Government knows that that news is so bad that then this week, what did they do this week? Parliamentary Budget Officer, again yesterday, published a document. The news is so bad for the Liberals, and they're going to try and stay on in power. And like I said, yes, there was the elbows up movement. We were all surprised by it, but I think the honeymoon with Carney hopefully is short-lived, because the reality is, despite what he says and does, our lives are getting more miserable. Right? Unemployment's up, interest rates are up, inflation's up, everything's up. So people are waking up. So, I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe there will be a value in defeating this government and going back to where we should be, which is we should have a conservative government starting to reverse all this damage. Because I'm afraid that if we just keep going down this path, you and I have to keep talking about this. We have to try and keep waking up people, because if we just go down this path, it's brutal. How brutal?
Well, we're handing out red pills. Marty, we're handing out red pills, and the government is handing out Valium. I'm not kidding. They are putting people back to sleep in droves, and it's crazy how much this is happening. Because, let me tell you, the segue to this one, you're gonna absolutely love this, Marty, because we talk about this all the time. CPI index. How do we measure inflation? And what are some of the schemes that they have to make inflation look better? Well, Marty, they just took the cake. They absolutely took the cake on this one. This is from Better Dwelling. Bank of Canada just made its most disturbing speech in a generation. Yeah, that's right. Canada's central bank just delivered a speech that made every quant's skin crawl. Last week, the Bank of Canada revealed it's preparing a major overhaul of how inflation is measured. In prepared remarks, Deputy Governor Riz Mendez warned that the mortgage costs have distorted the bank's preferred CPI ratings. Now it's considering whether to scrap mortgage interest or its preferred measure altogether in favor of underlying inflation. If housing prices go up, if interest payments go up, and all these things go up, just remove it from the CPI altogether.
So actually, this is exactly what that's the other part I didn't get to finish, but. Yesterday, the Bank of Canada is doing this bullshit, and yesterday the Parliamentary Budget Officer released a report because in the next budget that comes out in November, Ottawa, you've heard Carney saying, right? Less spending, more investing. And Carney wants to change the rules on how he does his budgeting, and he wants to capitalize more things. And so, and capitalizing assets, calling them investments, the definition of an investment is when you invest in something with the expectation of a return.
That's
and so and the return has to go in the budget of the person making the investment. So Carney, he wants to give money to, I don't know, some company for building a battery plant, and he's going to say that's an investment. Really? Well, if that battery plant doesn't give money back to the government directly in some line that can go in there,
It's not
anyways,
an investment.
it's not an investment. They're just getting ready to again, folks, the news on, you don't need to know that, you don't need to be told this. Everybody listening knows our lives are more miserable. Cost of things is going up. Our dollars doesn't stretch and as far as we can. Our kids don't have a bright future when it comes to buying a house. Cars are expensive. I went to the restaurant after I came out of the wilderness because I came home. I thought, hey, Karen, I've been gone for 7 days. Let's go to the restaurant on Sunday night. The place was dead. And you talk to the waitress and she's like, nobody's eating in restaurants anymore. Nobody has discretionary income. I'm like, wow, okay, I get that. And the Bank of Canada can change how they measure inflation. They can tell you and I tomorrow that, hey, inflation is not 2.8, it's miraculously 1.3. What are we going to say? Really? Here's a basket of groceries. That's how I measure inflation, by the way, now. Like when my wife goes and does groceries, she has those little purple bins that she fills with groceries. Each purple bin's $100.
Jeez.
So when she comes home and she has 3 purple bins and she, I help her unload the car and bring the 3 purple bins upstairs. I'm like, yeah, there's $300.
You know what else happens when economy starts going crap like that, tits up, is jobs go away and companies shut down. And I don't know, bottling plants in Ontario dry up. And well, you know where I'm going with this. Well, good old Tuggy boy in Ontario. This has got to be the last one because we don't have much time. I don't even know what to say to this, but he's threatening people now, and now he's going all out while Mark Carney is reaching out to Europe. This is a European distributor apparently that distributes for Crown Royal and other people like Smirnoff. Now Doug Ford he's when all you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And when all you are is a gangster, everything looks like an ultimatum. So this is Doug Ford just the other day talking about Crown Royal and this. Oh, this is too good. You have to see it.
In the right line, any business person with half a brain would go after their largest customer in North America. Diageo, we do over $765 million, more than any jurisdiction anywhere in the US or in Canada. And they want to close down a plant over what, $8 million of wages they think they're going to save? The LCBO is the largest purchaser of alcohol in the entire world. And I'll use that leverage to make sure we send a signal that we're pulling Crown Royal off our shelves as soon as the last person leaves that plant. And they can deal with it. And then we'll look at Smirnoffs next, because we have great whiskey that other people can produce in Ontario, and they'll enjoy just as much as Crown Royal. That's what happens when you try to undermine the people of Ontario.
I don't even want to unpack this. Like
they're getting held accountable, Marty. That's like, first off, how does this not go to the competition board? For those in the United States, this would be antitrust laws. This is monopoly behavior. You can't do this. You cannot do this. It's illegal.
It's illegal. It goes against free market rules. It's weird that he's bragging about the fact that Ontario buys more booze than any other jurisdiction in the world. I mean, as soon as I hear that, I'm going like, wow, that's freaking wild.
It's not because Ontarians drink more.
But that's a problem in and of itself. Suddenly, the government think about what he said, right? Our government is the biggest buyer of alcohol on the planet. I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. But like, is it the
It's
government's
because
job to be buying alcohol? Like,
but there's no
like,
jurisdiction that big that has one operator. That's the thing.
sure, but I mean, to me, I see I see a problem right there. Anyways, why is the government in the business of selling alcohol? But that's a whole other problem.
Mhm.
And then he finishes it off by saying, we're gonna sell whiskey instead of vodka. I'm like, Dougie, weren't you on the stage last week with a bottle of Crown Royal, dumping that on the ground? I mean, you dumped the whiskey, you're dumping the vodka. I guess Ontarians, you guys can enjoy. You can't buy bourbon because that's from the U.S. What's left for Ontario? Ontario wines and maybe some shitty gin. Like, come on. But it's just theatrics. It's just bullshit theatrics. Like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want I'm looking for statesmen, and the country is a shit show. We're looking for statesmen. And what do we have? We have Doug Ford, who in 1 3-week period dumped a bottle of Crown Royal, saying it was not Canadian, which is about the most Canadian product you can have.
He ate ice creams.
Then he ate ice creams on stage, and now he's dumping vodka. You might as well, Dougie, if you really want a really good show next week, stick a rag in the bottle of vodka, okay? Turn it into a Molotov cocktail, light it on fire, and toss it at your stage and at your career, because that's what you're doing, dude. Like, Christ.
Oh, that's a perfect segue. Marty, where can people find you?
They can find me at Marty Up North. I'm thinking of Dougie with a Molotov cocktail. It would probably go bad on him. It would probably... Oh my god!
You probably wouldn't work the lighter or something. He's struggling.
Find me at Marty Up North on X, folks, and Marty Up North on YouTube. I'm trying to get back on YouTube a little bit more, but definitely find me on X, folks.
All right, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.